hugely impressive effort from him. But and they did mention this quite a bit, that he's only played 7 games this year. He's not been a mainstay of the side. Whereas Akers is borderline England form. So it was a factor, and it did impact upon what Salford were doing with the ball, because Baru can run, but not the same way Akers is so incisive with his running game out of dummy half.
Yeah, and as it wasn't until Salford managed to connect a couple of passes out wide after trying and failing many times that they actually probably scored the best try of the game.
Oh, best try of the weekend.
Yeah,
the Burgess break and then the pass inside for Brearley, really expansive play from their own end as well, getting it wide to Brearley, wide to Burgess, a couple of long passes and then a nice offload, and absolutely delightful try. Exactly what Salford have been so good and so entertaining doing recently. I just think it was unfortunate that they only, like you say, managed to pull that off once, because you feel like if they'd have got another one of them, even another 1 or 2 breaks like that maybe didn't quite fully come off, it would have given them a bit more. It was so beautiful. What a nice try.
Yeah, it just felt like a lot of the offloads were quite scruffy. They didn't come out clean. Like Laffey seemed to be trying it every other tackle. Obviously, there was the one that went forward that ultimately led to kind of Saints having possession, Benison scoring.
Oh,
who was that? Who threw that ball? I can't remember now.
Watkins it was.
I forget. But yeah, it was an attempted offload anyway, and it kind of obviously it went forward, and so you live by the sword and you die by the sword, I suppose, really, because they're trying to get back in it at that point.
Well, that winning moment, and you kind of put the penalty try conversations to one side for it, was that Benison try, and there was echoes of Wellesby, wasn't there, about it, because it felt like everyone else had given up on the play. Snide seemed to just assume it was going dead, but Benison, played to that last blade of grass. He played longer in the play than the rest of the players, and it's what Saints do. So even their young players get it. Even Benison's the junior player that's really shone this year, that's come into the team and become someone who looks like he belongs. He's that player this year, isn't he? And even he gets it. So that's why, disgusting to think it and say it, but that's why Saints are a champion side, because of plays like that.
Yeah, it did look too hot off the boot, but yeah, you're right. If you don't chase it, you'll never know. And he did, and he got the reward for it.
I don't have a huge issue with the penalty try call. I don't know what your view is. I would have obviously liked Salford to have won this match, and therefore I'd have liked them to get to within 1 point at that time of the game, and there would have been a chance of Sneed's boot getting a drop goal at some point and pushing it into golden point, and who knows. But honestly, first look live, I didn't think Laffey was getting to the ball before it went dead. And then we saw quite a few replays, and we're still watching it well after the match finished, and I still couldn't be more than 50% confident that he was going to get to that ball before it went dead. So on that basis, if I was the ref, I would have made the same call. And I'm way more biased than the ref is.
Amen to that. Yeah, you can't be certain that Laffey would have got there. It's difficult to judge, though, because players, when a player is impeded, you can't really judge pace after a player's been pulled back like that, because momentum's gone and things have changed. The one thing that I would have done, the only difference I would have made, is I'd have looked at it on the video ref.
But
I'd have gone up.
Go on.
I'd have gone up no try, and I'd have said, "Can you just double check for a penalty try?"
But I don't see how he overturns the live call with our system that we've got.
Maybe he doesn't, but I do think, bearing in mind we've just, we've looked at other things which would look fairly certain, like the Benison try. Benison try looked certain to me first time round, but he still checked it.
They had 4 looks at the Marshall try, even though everyone could see on the first look that it was perfect.
I just think in those circumstances, with 5 minutes to go in a crucial match, I don't see the downside in checking it.
Yeah.
He was clear in his decision, and I think he was probably right in his decision. I'm not disputing that particularly. What I'm saying is the video ref is there for a purpose. In that circumstances, I don't think anyone can argue. Let's have a look at it.
Yeah.
Let's just make sure that Makinson hasn't done something else, or let's make sure nobody else is involved, or let's just check exactly is Laffey where I thought he was, because it all happened so quickly. The referee's trying to look at the ball, the players.
You know what that would have done? It had taken time off straight away, rather than the 20 or 30 seconds or so that ran off the clock whilst he was getting the yellow card out and sending the cheating player to the sin bin and giving the cheating team chance to wind down the clock a bit on a game where they were trying to wind down the clock anyway. I do wonder why time off wasn't called straight away before he gets the card out in that sort of situation. That seemed a bit weird, but
yeah, but Saints do what Saints do. They do what they need to do to win. They always do and always will.
And why didn't Salford take the 2 at that point? Because with their long-range attacking ability against what was a tiring St Helens side that was down a player, one of their fastest players as well, so one of the few players who might be able to catch up to a Burgess or a Braley, for example, Salford surely would have had a better chance of... Salford, to me, are as likely to score from deep as they are from close to your line. So if they'd have taken the 2, they then would have been 5 points behind, and they would have had 5 or 6 minutes to try and score a try against a team with a man less.
I must admit I didn't think of it that way, but that's a very good point. Yeah. Because you're right, at that point you can take it down to, you can go beyond 80 minutes, can't you? Do you know what I mean? You can be chucking it around to try to just create that space, and they're down to 12 men. There is going to be space. Even against the Saints team, there is going to be space. So, yeah, that's a really fair point, actually. Maybe just a slight lack of clear thoughts at that point.
I mean, it wasn't their day in the end, and I do think Saints were the better side in this match, like I think Leeds were the better side in the first match.
Yes, and it would be nice if we could sit here and just acknowledge that. It would be great if we could just focus on how good they were in the first 25 minutes. But the yellow cards, that kind of stuff, it just takes the shine off it, and that's just the way that it is. They're quite happy to do it that way. That's fine.
In terms of the stat line of the week, the best stats came from losing players. Amir Barou's 53 tackles and 15 marker tackles. For a guy who's not that match practiced, that's one hell of a effort, playing 78 minutes as well. Every credit to the lad. And obviously, Jay Field made over 200 metres again in this match, but wasn't quite incisive, and that was ultimately an issue. So yeah, a bit of a weird one in that way. Player of the week, I'm going Jared O'Connor. I thought what he did as a player who's not renowned as being a hooker necessarily, and also not at the start of the year someone who you would have been expected to be playing in this Leeds side at this stage of the season. I thought he was outstanding.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Bentley for his ability to keep his cool when he may have lost it at other times in this year. So I'm going to go for Bentley for me.
Yeah, he was very borderline when he had that knock on.
Oh yeah,
when he sort of lost the ball behind his back.
Because he had a case as well, but you know what? He managed to keep his keep it with a bit of a help from his teammates. He managed to keep himself in check, and that was all important.
Me and Sarah both went 1 out of 2 in the predictions last week, but we got the opposite games correct. David stays top in the Super Brew. I'm second, and somehow I got the cap. I don't know how. I must have been close to bang on maybe in the Saints game. Alan, you're third and Sarah's fourth. I think that's the way it's going to end. David's top of the main Super Brew competition as well. Alex Jewett has the yellow cap. Way down the table, but nice to get a shout out for you there, Alex. Then in the Fantasy League, Neil Ormston is still top, but is very displeased that the competition is still going. He had this to me during the week on Twitter. Tom Andrews with 473 had the top score. I think that's a phenomenal score for a two-match round, so well done to Tom. Some Super League news stories to go through. Shall we rotate them? Do you want to take the first one?
Yes. So Wakefield Trinity have appointed Mark Applegarth as their new head coach.
Who?
Never heard of him. The 37-year-old replaces Willie Poaching after the New Zealander was let go by the Super League club. Applegarth started his playing career with Wakefield and returned to the club as a coach in 2015.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a bit about it last week because we expected this to be announced, and it was announced the following day. But that's they're trying to go the Matt Pete route, aren't they? Basically, it seems like.
Yeah, I wasn't convinced of the decision to sack him, so I'm slightly less. I'm even less convinced by their decision to hire an inexperienced young head coach.
Yeah, he will be the youngest head coach going into next season, and also like is going to be having to deal with. It feels like the weaker squad in Super League, and unless they've got some real recruitment stuff lined up, it feels that way, doesn't it, with Wakefield?
Yeah, it's always an uphill struggle, or it always feels like it is, and that is not necessarily the best environment for somebody who's learning their trade.
Well, when you think about the players they've lost for next year, Johnston and Tupu, I know Tupu didn't really, was lost for this year as well, but that's, their best two attacking try-scoring threats that they've had in the last 10 years. Then Jacob Miller, who's been a mainstay in the halves. Okay, he's missed more tackles than any other player during the SLP era of Super League, but doesn't mean he's not been quality too. David Fafita, how impactful has he been for that club? Tinarona, similar. It just feels like they're losing a lot. Batchelor, he's a good player. Yeah.
Yeah, there's...
Although they do have some promising reserve players. We'll talk about that a bit later on.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll see what we next year.
Huddersfield Giants have signed New Zealand centre Ethan Masters from NRL club Gold Coast Titans. Masters, who's 26, joins the Giants on a 2-year deal. He's played 85 times in the NRL for 3 different clubs, scoring 22 tries and kicking 96 goals. He's also won 6 caps for the Kiwis. I mean, how many centres are they going to have next year at Huddersfield if they're still thinking that they're keeping Jake Wardle? I'm guessing Wardle's going.
Well, yeah. Otherwise, they're going to be playing some in the second row. But yeah, interesting.
Decent signing though. I mean,
decent player, can kick a goal.
Good age as well.
Yeah. No, I wasn't. My only issue was where he was going to fit in the team. Yeah, not so much the quality of Masters as a player. Castle and Dragons centre Arthur Romano has signed a new 12-month contract. Romano, 25, first joined the club's academy in 2015 from Carpentras. Today he's made 33 appearances since his debut in 2017.
I think it's amazing that it's been 5 years that he's been playing in the first team, but I think this year was probably his most consistent year, so I think that's good. But Catalans have been busy getting rid of people. So Dean Farre and Sammy Soni Lange are amongst 9 players who will depart the Catalan Dragons when their contracts expire in November. Sam Cassiano and Gil Dudson will join Warrington from next season on 2-year deals. Joe Chan will link up with NRL side Melbourne Storm. I think that's a huge loss. France international forward Benjamin Julien will play part-time in the French Elite League Championship next season after deciding to join the fire service. And finally, 3 academy products are leaving as well. Corrigan Lecam, the tallest player in Super League, Matthew Cozza and Romain Franco are all departing the Dragons. Farre has been linked with potentially Wigan, but I'm not sure how Wigan will find a quota spot for him, because we've got some amazing Wigan news to talk about. But what's next on our existing rundown?
Toulouse fullback Ollie Ashalbot has signed a new deal that will see him stay with the relegated Super League side until the end of 2026.
Hull KR fullback Lachlan Coote has ruled himself out of representing Scotland at the upcoming World Cup. This is an absolute massive blow. The 32-year-old suffered several concussion injuries in 2022, which has resulted in him having to withdraw from playing in the World Cup, according to Hull Live. Terrible news that, isn't it, for Scotland and for Coote, that he's had to take that decision. It's a worry.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to make some pithy comment about him remembering that he was a St Helens player, but I won't do that. No, it's bad when a player feels the need to miss out through the concern about accumulated injuries, particularly concussions. So yeah, it's not good. As much as you can make a cheap joke about it.
Late news that was released before we started recording. Hull KR have signed Salford Red Devils prop Sam Luckley on a 2-year deal. The 26-year-old Scotland international made 26 appearances for the Red Devils after joining from Newcastle Thunder for the 2021 season. And